What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto became a vampire prince and was hunted by his own clan? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Kushina was currently being dragged back to the hidden cloud village, where she would then be used as breeding stock to produce chakra chains users for the hidden cloud to be used against Konoha, but little did the shinobi, as alert as they were, know they were already dead, as without knowing it they suddenly hear a voice that said, "Rescue target sighted. Releasing restriction art to level 3, hold back release until all captors are silenced." One of the shinobi said, "Who the hell are you? And what the hell are you babbling on about? Never mind, let's just kill him. Lightning style. Thunder Dragon Jutsu." They all said as 3 Thunder Dragons were heading straight for Alucard, and Kushina said, "Look out, that's an A-ranked lightning style technique." And Alucard said, "These pitiful humans can't kill a master of the night." Kushina Uzumaki, "I'm reading your mind, so I know who you are. My name is Alucard and I work for an organization that deals with vampires. But you interest me. Your beauty and red hair has hypnotized me. So I ask. But the choice must be yours. Do you want to come with me and we can restore your clan together? Forget about the blonde hair human. I can help you so you live forever." Kushina just nodded her head yes, and Alucard said, "Restriction art level 3 release." In the blink of an eye Alucard vanished and all the cloud shinobi fell dead. As Alucard caught Kushina, he said as the full moon made itself known, "Remember, the choice was yours to make. However, I also sense a dark power within your body, a kitsune, huh?" Kushina then said, "Kyubi, kitsune, 9-tailed fox." And Alucard said, "Well, that's interesting. I know you can sense my presence in the Uzumaki girl's mind, kitsune. Rest assured I mean her no harm. The gift I shall give her is far greater than anything in the world you could offer her. Immortality and a child just as powerful. She will still live even if you are extracted from her seal." Alucard then bit Kushina's neck, and as he did she passed out and was taken back to the hidden leaf village, where he would watch her from the shadows, and when she was older, at least 16, they would conceive a child stronger than any vampire or human shinobi. His name would be Naruto Uzumaki Alucard II. And he would be the prince of all vampires, with all of Alucard's abilities, even the abilities to control others and other vampires. On his 12th birthday he would obtain the vampire summoning contract, and when he became a shinobi known as the Prince of Darkness. With Alucard and Kushina being the king and queen, Alucard then tucked Kushina into her bed and said, "Sleep well, my love. For once you wake up, your life won't ever be the same. You will travel by night, sleep by day. And when the time comes, we shall produce an heir to the throne of hell itself." And Kushina mumbled in her sleep, "Good night, my love and master. Stay with me, please?" And Alucard said, "I shall always be by your side and the side of our future son." Alucard then merged with the shadows as he watched over Kushina as she slept peacefully. Her life was about to change, and quite possibly for the better. Kushina woke up the next morning and went to open her bedroom curtains, but before she could, Alucard grabbed her hand and said, "If you do that you will become weak and unable to fight at full strength. You must drink blood from the hospital blood bank to keep your bloodlust under control. If you don't, you will die. If you touch silver, you will injure yourself. You must rest until the sun goes down, and I shall teach you all about being a vampire. How to transform into creatures, how to become a shroud of mist, how to blend in with the shadows, and how to become the shadows themselves. You will have full control over others' shadows as well and manipulate the minds of others." And Kushina said, "So I can do all that, but I can't travel in daylight. Otherwise I might end up killing myself? Bummer. Oh well, I guess I'll have to get used to it. I never did like waking up early anyway. Tsunade-sensei won't be happy with me about this though." And Alucard said, "Oh, I wouldn't have to worry about her too much, my future queen. She's going to be the exception. You see, she's going to be the first person to be turned into a vampire by you. And then your friends will become curious and then they will follow soon after. You're going to be the one to turn them, in their sleep. We start tonight. Good luck." Mew, ha, 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 ha. And Kushina said, "Wait, what do you mean by future queen? And what do you mean I have to? That wasn't a dream. I'm really my skin is changing color. My teeth, they're becoming fangs. And my hair is changing color also. What's happening to me? My hands, they are claws. And my ears, no, I really have become a vampire queen. Alucard just chuckled and said, not yet, you haven't. Not until you've bitten your first human, then you will have officially become a daughter of darkness and queen of the Uzumaki vampire clan. It's time to feed. You know where your sensei lives and your friends. In fact, one of them is pregnant as we speak. The blue-violet-haired girl Hitomi, I believe her name is. She's pregnant with a baby girl who she has decided to name Hinata. Her daughter and my servant Sarah's Victoria. We'll make a fine set of mates for our future children. And Kushina asked, wait a minute, am I pregnant? Did you seduce me while I was sleeping? And Alucard said, no, my dear queen. I cannot force that decision upon you, like with your new appearance. The choice must be yours to make. But rest assured, a child born of vampiric and human blood is more dangerous than either one. So I ask, are you a virgin? And Kushina said, yes I am, and I'm not 16 yet or ready for having children. But, if I wanted to, I'll tell you when the time is right. I'm only 13 years old now. And Alucard said, that's fine with me. I can wait 3 more years if I must. I have all of eternity. Now let's begin your vampire training so you may become the very first queen of the vampires. And Kushina said, you say that like it's a good thing. But I don't understand. Of all people to make your queen, why me? Alucard said, because you have a strong will and longer lifespan than most of the other female humans I've seen or chosen. Your lineage intrigued me. Now then, first, imagine yourself as an animal or creature. Any animal or creature will do, but start small. Then imagine yourself becoming that animal using the shadows around you. Kushina did as instructed, and the shadows around her, including her own, transformed her into, you guessed it, a kitsune, and a quite frightening one at that. Unlike the Kyuubi, Kushina became a kitsune with dark red eyes and black fur, where she could walk on 2 legs or all 4s. Alucard then said, well, I must say, that's very impressive for your first time. You're a real natural. Now seek out your targets and turn them into your servants. Kushina then dashed off towards the Senju clan compound, and when she got there she saw Tsunade and Shizune getting ready for bed, and so being as quiet as possible she snuck inside, and when their backs were turned she would drink their blood by biting their necks and turn them into vampires, which would instantly happen since the moon was still full. She then turned back into her vampire form and used her shadow abilities to hold Shizune and Tsunade in place. After looking behind them, Tsunade said, Kushina, what's happened to you? What are you doing here? And Kushina said, please forgive me for what I'm about to do, since I have no choice but to do it. Tsunade-sensei, look into my eyes along with you, Shizune. Tsunade and Shizune did as told, and when they did, Kushina said, I'm going to be the queen of the vampires once I bite and drink from your blood. The 2 of you will become my obedient servants. Do you accept? Tsunade and Shizune said, we accept your gift, my queen. We will serve you and do as you say. And so, not in their own frame of mind, Tsunade and Shizune stood completely still while Kushina bit their necks. Kushina then felt an immense pleasure and surge of power and strength running through her body. So much power that not even the Kyuubi could match against it. Kushina and her shadow clone then released themselves from Tsunade and Shizune and watched as the 2 medical shinobi fell to their knees, and Tsunade said, What's happening to us? Kushina, what's happening to our body? And Kushina said, you're welcome, Tsunade. You and Shizune no longer have to use that medical genjutsu of yours to look younger. As a vampire, you will never age, and I also gave you back your youth. I feel so strong. I truly am the first queen of the vampires. And Tsunade said, then why is our skin and body features changing? My skin and hands, they're claws, and I'm completely gray. My teeth are fangs now. No, we're not human anymore, Tsunade-sama. Shizune and Tsunade screamed in shock at their new appearance. Shizune more than Tsunade, as Tsunade had an easier time processing everything. You must feed my loyal servants. Go bite Hitomi Hyuga's neck. Make her a vampire. And Tsunade said, but my queen, she's pregnant. Won't the child she's carrying also become a vampire? And Kushina said, yes, and my king has his reasons, now go. And don't ever question your queen's orders ever again. Tsunade and Shizune then said together, yes, your majesty. Shizune and Tsunade's transformation was now complete, and to say Alucard was impressed with how Kushina played the role of a queen was an understatement. He was astounded. He then said to himself, she's perfect. Once 3 years go by we shall make love with each other and she will bear a prince to the throne of hell itself. Mankind will fear us and all demons shall bow before us. Wouldn't you agree, police girl? Victoria then stepped out of the shadows and said, indeed, master. But are you certain that this is such a good idea? I mean, sure, you're going to be married and have a child who will inherit your powers. But if Miss Integra Helsing finds out, she's going to order me to kill them, and you know that, right? And Alucard said, I've taken precautions to ensure that doesn't happen. Lady Helsing knows I could kill her just as easily as I could turn her into a vampire. The only reason I haven't is because some humans like her can be very useful, given the proper motivation, that is. And Victoria said, you have blackmail material on her about her family, don't you? You know exactly how her father really died because you were there when he did. Isn't that right, Master Dracula? And Alucard said, so it seems that you are smarter than you look. Yes, it is true. I am the first vampire. How did you figure it out? And Victoria said, I was curious about what would happen if I spelled your name backwards in. Just then Kushina showed up and said, let's go, my king. We have some adult activities to prepare for. Greetings, Miss Victoria. Alucard has told me that you are his loyal servant, right? Victoria just nodded yes and said, in a manner of speaking, yes I am. And you must be his new queen. Kushina Uzumaki, was it? I'm surprised that you would turn your own family into vampires for the sake of love from the first vampire. A bit of advice. Master Alucard can be quite bossy at times. And beware of the Iscariot and Helsing organizations. Should a vampire as powerful as yourself go rogue, queen or not, we will kill you and your children. And Alucard said, careful what you say around my queen, police girl, unless you want me to take away your virginity instead of the queen's. You're of age, she's not. Well, not now at least. In another 3 years perhaps. And Victoria said, Master, what may I ask makes this new queen of ours, so special? And Alucard said, well, that's a good question. You see, the queen here comes from a very powerful and unique blood lineage. The Uzumaki clan members all have a much stronger life force than most other female humans like yourself, where they can instantly heal from any injuries within minutes, hours, even days or weeks, depending on the severity of the injuries. So you see, police girl, the queen's regenerating abilities are stronger and work faster than even my own. And you will do well to be mindful of showing her the proper respect she deserves. Unless you don't want to be engaged to our future child, that is? And Victoria asked, what do you mean engaged to your future child, master? Do you mean to tell me you're actually going to be conceiving a newborn baby with this woman in 3 years? And that I'm going to be put in an arranged marriage with him? Are you mad? And Alucard said, maybe just a little bit. But I've never had a child of my own before. Or a queen for that matter. That is why I'm asking you to be not just the intended bride but also protector of your future mate, as one other girl from another royal family will be sharing him with you. So in the future do try to get along with her. Victoria was internally furious with her master. To think that he would just up and offer her as a bride. As though it were no big deal? But then again, she was his creation and had to do what he said. Even if it's taking orders from someone outside of the Helsing organization. She would do as asked regardless, as she said, yes, master, I understand fully. It was a pleasure meeting you, my queen. Victoria said the last part with such hate and venom laced in her tone of voice that she just walked away, believing that she's the only one who would be by her master's side and bear his children. Sadly, she would have to settle for their future prince and wait to see how things turn out. Well, I'm not at liberty to say anything about it, but apparently she's found someone better than Minato. His name was, damn it, I forgot about that damn stun collar seal she put on me to prevent me from speaking her new lover's identity. And even Minato and Jiraiya said they couldn't find any way to remove it without killing me since it's directly linked to the central nervous system of my brain that allows muscle memory and thought processing. So even if I thought about telling you who the man's name is, I'd be killing myself just by telling you. However, you should know that the man she's with isn't human, he's a vam. Ah, Makoto then felt an even stronger shock than the last one and Hiruzen asked. What kind of person is this man Makoto Uchiha? If Kushina is making you keep it secret with a secrecy seal, then only Kushina Uzumaki can tell me. I really hate that woman. Her fuinjutsu skills are greater than Mito Uzumaki was. Very well, Makoto Uchiha. You do need to tell me if you're unable to. You're dismissed. And so, with the pleasure-filled semen from Minato inside her womb slowly fertilizing her eggs and her secret divorce papers already approved of along with the marriage license and certificate approved by the daimyo and the Hokage, Fugaku would be in for a rude awakening when he finds Itachi, his wife, and all their belongings gone from the compound the next morning, with the only things remaining being a note and divorce papers that said, "Start making your own meals and clean up after yourself from now on. I won't be returning to you even if you fought against Minato for me. Goodbye, Fugaku. I'm doing this so Itachi and Shisui aren't involved with this ridiculous coup d'etats of yours and the Uchiha elders. P.S. I'm pregnant and it's not your child. It's Minato's child. I've been sleeping with him behind your ungrateful back because he respects me and takes care of me. And not just, but emotionally and supportively also. He doesn't see me as just some piece of meat that you could repopulate the Uchiha clan with. He, unlike you, actually loves me and would do anything for me. Kushina was actually quite happy Minato and I got together since she's found someone better than Minato as well. Don't bother coming to the Hokage as he and the daimyo have already finalized our wedding and marriage certificate and license. This is the end for you. Fugaku Uchiha." To say Fugaku Uchiha was pissed off was an understatement. He was furious. But then again, his pride as an Uchiha always got in the way of his responsibility as a husband and not a clan leader. So he did the only thing every man who was left by his wife or girlfriend for their friend did. He drank an entire bottle of sake and then committed suicide by senpuku. It was better than the alternative. Fight the yellow flash of Konoha and die afterwards. It's been a year now that Alucard and Kushina had started building up the Uzumaki vampire clan, and he was looking for a hidden location where he could set up his new kingdom. And when Kushina said that her clan came from a village separate from Konoha and Fire Country, he wanted to learn more about the place, so Kushina told him the history of the Uzumaki clan, where they came from and who their ancestors were, and needless to say he was very impressed that his queen was descended from a god. The first god of shinobi. And father of all chakra. Alucard had been around for centuries, so he was familiar with how and spiritual energy was used to bend the elements. But now that Kushina was a vampire, she could do that with but a single thought. Alucard then said, "Would it be possible to show me where this village is and how to get to it? If it's surrounded by plenty of shadows and out of reach, then I think we have found a place to raise our new kingdom from the ground up. Quite literally, in fact. I intend to resurrect this Hidden Tides village and make it the Hidden Hell village and rename the land Yomi no Kuni, land of the dead. By day just an ordinary island, but by night a very large and powerful nation. Populated by vampires and demons of all kinds. The kitsune would feel right at home there, wouldn't you agree, my beloved queen?" And Kushina said, "You would really like to do that for me? But what about Victoria? Should we tell her about this? And even worse, can she be trusted if we do? I don't want to see our kingdom fall because I thought we could trust someone still loyal to the Hellsing organization. This woman you work for, Integra Hellsing, can she keep secrets? And if we do succeed, what guarantee do we have she's not going to betray us and try to kill our family?" Alucard said, "Trust me, my queen, the whole reason I'm with the Hellsing organization is because I am in servitude to the Hellsing family. And not by choice either. But by a cruel twist of fate. As for Sarah's Victoria, she was an orphan child who became a police officer, and then I turned her because she wanted to live as a vampire and not die as a human. So don't worry, my queen, everything is under control and everyone, mew, ha, 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 ha." Kushina could never stop enjoying how handsome Alucard was when he was laughing hysterically, and every time he did it turns her on even more. So much that she's considering the thought of having with him right now, but swore she'd wait 2 more years, for now. They had a kingdom, no, an empire of the shadows to build. And only 2 years to do it. Within the last year, Minato and Makoto's married relationship was going quite well, and 9 months after the wedding Makoto gave birth to a baby boy named Izuna Uchiha Namikaze. And they couldn't be any happier with their lives. However, that just might all change when Minato was made Hokage. His priorities became solely focused on his and every other family in the village. The Kyuubi attack was only 24 months away. Minato had a bad feeling that someone would come for the 9-tailed fox eventually, but then again he missed out on saving Kushina before someone else did, and that person he knew wasn't human. Minato suspected this and decided to have the Anbu look into this mysterious man and who he worked for. One way or another he'd have the answers he wanted, but at what cost was the question. And just how far would he go to get those answers? Only time would tell. Meanwhile, in London, a woman who was and could only be described as a Tsunade Senju look-alike with glasses was in her office. This woman was Sir Integra Wingate's Helsing. And she was furious. Why was she furious, you may ask? It's simple really. Alucard had been in Japan looking for a new location to set up a second base of operations for the Helsing organization, and he was supposed to be reporting into her if he found anything useful. Well, let's just say that what Alucard's search turned up was something else. Something that a vampire should never do. He fell in love with a human and turned her into a vampire, and was now, according to Sarah's Victoria, planning on getting married and having children. Integra laughed at the thought of such a preposterous thing happening, but if it did, she would have to order the entire organization to kill Alucard and his family. But since Alucard's the first vampire and his new lover the very first queen of the vampires, she was wondering if letting Alucard be on his own was a good idea to do. Integra then looked over at Walter and Victoria and asked, "You're certain that this woman that Alucard's fallen in love with and intends to make his queen, is not a threat to my organization? Or London and Her Majesty the Queen?" And Victoria said, "I'm positive, sir. Though we also have a bigger problem than risking exposure. Apparently this woman has demons of her own, and you're not going to like what kind of demon." And Walter said, "Miss Victoria, I'm certain whatever kind of monster or freak this is, can't be that dangerous, could it?" And Integra said, "Now hold on, Walter. Let's not jump on any conclusions before we hear what she's got about this woman. This, Kushina Uzumaki and her clan. Please continue, Victoria." And Victoria said, "Thank you, sir. As I said, she isn't a demon. Well, not fully at least. What she does is contains the demon itself, and worst of all, it's a creature from their culture known as a Kyuubi Kitsune. And of its kind, there's 8 others. But they aren't all fox." And Integra said, "A 9-tailed fox? That's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard of. But you have piqued my interest. Walter, what can you tell me about this creature?" And Walter said, "Forgive me, Sir Integra, but I'm afraid I don't know anything about these creatures either. In fact, I didn't even know such creatures even existed. I'm sorry, but apparently we have to do research on the culture of Japan before any further actions are taken. For now, I suggest we meet with the village's leader, this Fire Shadow, a human named Minato Namikaze, and learn more about their ways." Integra Helsing was not pleased at all, since this is the first time her best informant was at a loss of information on a possible threat to her organization and the country of England itself. So, being very cautious with how she approached this topic, she said, "Very well, Walter. I shall take your advice into consideration, as I always have. Prepare the plane. We're going to Japan to meet with this village leader of theirs. Is there anything else I should know before we leave for Japan, Sarah's Victoria?" And Victoria said, "Actually, there's one other thing I should mention. Apparently there's a clan full of werewolves living there. But they haven't caused any trouble for Master Alucard." Integra then slammed her hands on her desk and said, "Damn it. Is it bad enough that we deal with vampires? We now have to worry about those flea-bitten monsters also. What the hell was I thinking? I should have sent Walter with you and Alucard, but my lapse in judgment and faith in Alucard is running thin." Integra then lit a cigar, and calming down a bit, she looks out the window of her office and said, Victoria, I'm sending Walter with you back to Japan. I will see you in Alucard the moment I arrive. You're dismissed. Victoria said, Yes sir, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Walter sir, I look forward to working with you. Walter then said, And I look forward to working with you also Miss Victoria. This will be quite interesting. The old dog and the new girl side by side. Victoria left the office, and when she was gone Walter looked at Integra and said, Forgive me sir Integra, but are you sure it's a good idea to send me to Japan and watch over Alucard's queen? You know how he is when people try butting into his personal life. You may want to reconsider sending me to, how shall I put it? Babysit a 500-year-old vampire as if he was a 5-year-old child without any friends. And Integra said, Alucard's been serving my family's organization for centuries Walter, you know that. If he's planning on abandoning the Hellsing organization I must know immediately. Am I understood? And Walter said, Yes madam, I understand fully. If Alucard's planning on leaving the organization you're going to be the first to know. I shall depart with Victoria the moment the sun goes down. Rest assured that I will find out what is going on with Alucard and his new queen. And I will also gather all the information I can find out about these 9-tailed creatures. Especially the fox. If this kitsune is strong enough to put Miss Victoria on edge, then it's definitely worth looking into. Integra had finished her cigar and sat back down in her chair. She then said without any emotions, See that you do Walter. Alucard must not risk exposure of the Hellsing organization. And we can't risk England going to war with another foreign country over something so petty. Walter just bowed before Integra and said, Yes sir Integra, I understand. The jet shall be prepared for you to depart by tomorrow morning. Integra then dismissed Walter, and as he left the office she said to herself, What are you planning Alucard? What's your endgame here, and what does this woman have to do with you? And, no. He wouldn't dare trying to do that, would he? He wouldn't dare trying to raise hell on earth. What could he possibly gain from it? Integra Hellsing was now outraged at the mere thought of Alucard betraying the Hellsing organization unless he knows something about her family that she didn't and would hold it over her head like. It then occurred to her that Alucard did know something about her family, something that Victoria wasn't telling her and hiding it very well. As she looks over at her father's painting she knew what Alucard was withholding from her. The truth about how her father really died. The truth about what really killed her father, and it wasn't old age or illness like cancer. It was a werewolf, and Alucard knew that. So why didn't he tell her? Was he really that untrusting of her? Integra began to question her council knights of the Round Table and if they were withholding information as well. Who could she trust? And if anyone on her council was a traitor within the organization? Who, and what would they gain from doing so? All these questions and more ran through her head as she prepared for her long journey to Japan and her first ever step into a whole new world of working in the shadows. Little did she know, an even bigger threat loomed overhead. And that threat was Alucard's new future family. She then said to herself, The first vampire in the hands of a foreign country and its village. What a disaster. And now I have to drag him back here by his undead legs. You've created quite the mess once again Alucard. Sometimes I think you take pleasure in seeing me suffer. And so with that being said Integra Hellsing decided to start packing for her trip to Japan and meeting with the fire shadow Minato Namikaze and hopefully get some answers herself about what was going on. It's been 4 years since Alucard and Kushina had gotten together and rebuilt the Hidden Tide village, only this time. It's known as the Hidden Hell Village. After 3 years of being married, Alucard and Kushina had conceived their first child and was now in the process of giving birth to a baby boy who they decided to name Naruto. Alucard Uzumaki screams of pain and agony could be heard as Kushina began transforming and said, Alucard, if I survive this and the 9 Tails escapes, I'll kill you myself if the Hellsing organization doesn't. And Alucard said, Don't worry about that now, my dearest queen. Focus on giving new life to our prince. I already know that Ceres has potentially betrayed us. My thoughts and hers are linked to each other. But you can do so much more. You could control her and any other vampires who gets in our way. Tsunade, how much longer? And Tsunade said, Not much longer, my king. Come on Kushina, one final push. Kurama was about to break free from the seal and Kushina knew it. It's what was the most painful thing about being a female Jinchuriki. Fortunately, Kushina made a deal with Kurama stating that as soon as he was free he heals her and doesn't leave the hidden hell village, and so trying to help lessen the pain, Kurama decided to use his chakra and help Kushina with giving birth, as he said. "Come on Kushina, you're stronger than this. You want to see your own child, don't you? Well then, push harder." Kurama was right about one thing. If she doesn't push as hard as she can now, she is going to have a miscarriage and Naruto would die inside the womb. So using every ounce of energy she has left, gave one final push, and after that a baby boy could be heard crying for his mother's warm embrace as Tsunade and Shizune said, "Congratulations Kushina, it's a baby boy." Tsunade then cut the umbilical cord and wrapped Naruto in a blanket. Kurama then emerged from the seal and taking on his human form healed most of Kushina's chakra reserves. The rest she would have to sleep through herself to regain. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, Hitomi Hyuga had just finished giving birth to a baby girl, and Hiyashi was surprised when he and Hitomi read the letter left by Tsunade and Shizune that she's now and forever a vampire and won't age at all or grow ill. On one hand, Hiyashi was pleased about this, but on the other hand he was wondering if they would ever be able to sleep together again. Their daughter Hinata had dark purple hair and the most adorable red eyes they had ever seen. Hitomi then looked at Hiyashi and said, "Don't worry about me, Hiyashi dear. Hinata will be a very strong and powerful vampire princess. When Kushina returns with her child, the two of them are going to be in an arranged future marriage together. Along with one other, though her name hasn't been mentioned in the letter she sent me. Unlike me and Kushina, they will be able to travel during the day and night. She sent me a silver cross for Hinata, though I don't know what to do with it. I guess it's to help me and Hinata keep our cravings for blood under control." Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Minato Namikaze and Integra Winget's Helsing were in a private meeting, and Integra said, "I'll get straight to the point, Mr. Namikaze. You have a clan full of werewolves and a family of vampires in your village. I could care less about who they are or what their intentions are for the village. I'm only interested in the vampire that is part of my top-secret British Special Operations Unit. The Helsing Organization, Walter. The file and his true name, if you please." Walter then said, "Yes sir, Integra. Here you are. Everything we have on Alucard, or as most people are familiar with the stories. Dracula, and his new queen, Kushina Uzumaki. According to the report Miss Victoria gave me, they have just recently had a child named Naruto Alucard Uzumaki. And your friend's wife Hitomi Hyuga just gave birth to a baby girl named Hinata, who was also born a vampire. I'm afraid Alucard is trying to, how should I put it, reassure CT the vampire race. He knows that there's far too many werewolves around these days, and to make matters worse, he's rebuilt a village completely surrounded by shadows and whirlpools. Apparently it's only visible during a full moon." And Integra said, "So now you see my concern, Lord Hokage. Dracula has been serving my family for over 500 years now, and if he's decided to leave the Helsing Organization, I'd have to kill him and any other person he's turned into a vampire, including Kushina Uzumaki, Hitomi Hyuga, Tsunade Senju, Shizune Kato, and their children Naruto and Hinata. Rest assured that I will be awaiting your decision to either surrender them peacefully, or I have my entire organization go on a vampire and werewolf killing spree. It would be open season, and the opening day depends on what you decide. So tell me, what will you do with the information you now have?" Minato then thought to himself, "This woman is obviously serious about all of this. But I can't just go up to Kushina and demand she tells me she is a vampire. Or Hitomi Hyuga for that matter. No, as much as I would love to, I need proof first before I take any courses of action. Especially if Tsunade and Shizune are also vampires in all of this." Integra was just about to leave with Walter when suddenly Minato asked and said, "Wait, how'd I know if they really are vampires? What signs should I look for?" And Integra said, "All vampires travel at night and have pale skin and a lust for blood. But you're a smart man, so I'm certain that you'll know what to look for when you see one. Good day, Lord Hokage. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I hope you make the right decision. The fate of your village depends on it and what you do next." After giving Minato a general idea of what to look for as far as appearances, he needed to do more research on vampires to figure out their weaknesses and strengths. And just how big a threat Dracula was to Konoha, only time would soon tell. Minato spent all of his time dedicated to learning more about vampires and their weaknesses should they ever become a threat to the Hidden Leaf Village. And what he found amazed him. Apparently based on the books that Integra Hellsing left him, vampires had many weaknesses. But a full vampire would only grow weak. A half vampire would however suffer from silver, holy water, a wooden stake or something of holy origin. Like sunlight. Kushina and Alucard then phased through the shadows of the Hokage office walls as Alucard laughs and said, "Ha ha ha ha, so the blonde human is studying my species, is he? Well then you should know that you can't kill me at all. I am literally immortal. You can't kill that which is already dead but also alive at the same time, human. But you should know that there's far greater vampire threats than just me out there in the world. So I will make you this offer only once. Give up on your foolish attempt to kill me or something very bad will happen. A sight so horrifying you will wish it's just a bad dream." And Minato said, "So what's your endgame here, Dracula? What was the point of turning Kushina into a vampire and making her your queen just so you could have a child?" And Alucard said, "So it seems like my master has told you the truth of who I really am. Very well then, I'll tell you what my motives are. I plan on reviving the vampire race and recreating hell on Earth. Ha ha ha, and not even those flea-bitten monsters would be able to stop me." Minato then said, "And just how do you plan on doing that if you don't mind me asking?" And Alucard said, "Foolish human, it's already been done. You're just not aware of the fact that it's already happened yet. But rest assured, the Nine Tails is safely hidden where nobody else will ever find it and misuse its powers again." Minato then said, "I'm beginning to sense a lack of trust between us, Dracula. What aren't you telling me that I should know? What are you hiding?" And Kushina said, "It's not what he's hiding, Minato. It's who he's hiding it from. The Iscariot organization, rival organization to the Hellsing organization, their sole purpose in life is to destroy all vampires. Thus the reason for staying hidden. I'm well aware of the fact that Madara Uchiha is after the Kyuubi. And that Obito Uchiha isn't dead. Be on your guard, Minato. Madara Uchiha is coming for the Kyuubi. And is going to use Obito Uchiha to do it. They think that it's still here in Konoha. Let them believe that. Let them also believe that I still contain the Kyuubi. It will be easier if they think it's here rather than in hell." And Minato asked, "What do you mean it's in hell, Kushina? You're not making any sense. Neither of you are. What are you hiding?" And Alucard said as he and Kushina vanished into the shadows, "Don't go looking too far into the shadows or the shadows might just eat you alive. Beware the Iscariot organization. Trust nobody." Minato then leaned back in his chair and said to himself, "You can't kill what's already dead but also alive at the same time. I am immortal and nothing can kill me." That's what he said. He also said, "Don't go looking too deep into the shadows or the shadows might just eat you alive." I'm beginning to think that there's more to Dracula than Lady Hellsing is telling me that I should know. Little did Minato know is that Kushina wasn't lying when she said Madara Uchiha and Obito Uchiha were still alive. As he contemplated what Alucard said, the eternal Uchiha and his descendant were planning on capturing the Kyuubi and forcing it to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village. Time was running out and Minato knew it. The question is, did Madara and Obito Uchiha know that the Kyuubi was not in the Hidden Leaf Village anymore also? Only time would soon tell. Integra, Walter and Sarah's Victoria had just located the island of the Hidden Tide, now Hell Village, and to say that Integra was angry would be an understatement. She was outright furious at Alucard for not telling her about this at all. She was his master and he was her vampire servant, for God's sake. Walter was currently sitting next to Integra with Sarah's in the pilot's seat hovering over the village. Integra then said, "Take us down there, Sarah's. Alucard has a lot of explaining to do to us and his reasoning for this uninformed development of his to me better be good, or so help me God I'll kill him and burn his body myself." As they got closer and closer to the shoreline of the island, an unexpected whirlpool appeared and began to suck them into the ocean. Integra and Walter were shocked. They didn't expect something like this to appear near an uninhabited island. The closer they got to the island, the faster their helicopter got pulled into the ocean. Walter then said, "Miss Integra, if I may suggest that we not get any closer to the ocean surface. If we do, we will most certainly plummet to our deaths. And even though Miss Victoria and I cannot die because we're not mortal anymore, you however can be very much killed. A fate I would not wish upon the last of the Helsing family." And Integra said, "If you are implying that I should consider having children to one day take my place just as I did for my father, then I will have to ask you never to bring it up again, Walter. Or I'll kill you before you could even speak the words newborn baby. Am I clear? Unless you want me to tell Alucard that you're not a pure vampire but rather a human experiment with vampire DNA? If anything, he would be quite furious about it. Him and his pure-blooded ideals. It would be a major slap in the face to everything he believes in as the very first vampire lord. The very first true king of immortality. We're here. Get ready for anything and be on your guard. We don't know what to expect from this place. If Alucard has rebuilt it, it's more than likely hiding in plain sight. The moon is full, and a blood moon no less. This new village should be appearing any second now. All we have to do is wait for it to reveal itself. How large could this place be anyway? It's not like it rivals the size of London, England, does it? That would be preposterous to even think of. No island nation could be that large. It's unheard of to even be possible. Apparently Integra wasn't as well informed of the Uzumaki clan's history as she thought she was. The Uzumaki clan were a very smart, powerful and feared clan that ran their own country and their own village. Integra was about to see just how big the Uzumaki clan homeland really was. And when she did, she would realize she was looking for a needle in a haystack. Whether or not she found the needle remains to be seen. As the blood moon rose up higher into the sky and onto the island, Integra watched in amazement as multiple other islands appeared. She couldn't believe what she's seeing. They were on only one of dozens of islands like the one they're on right now. Walter and Sarah's Victoria were also amazed at the size of how big this place was. Walter then said, "Forgive me, Miss Integra, but it seems like we will be needing everyone from the Helsing organization to search all of these islands at once. Even in our helicopter, it would take months to find the right one we're looking for. If we're even able to find it at all. Based on the layout of the area, all these islands were once inhabited and designed to look the same. And even the natural whirlpools we encountered seems to surround them like a natural defense of some kind. Whoever these Uzumaki people were, they were very cunning, smart and powerful. Both politically and military-wise. A nation this size could easily, dare I say, rival the entire continent of London, England. Given the right circumstances, of course." And Integra said, "Are you trying to tell me, Walter, that if this nation, and London, were to be at war with each other, that London would literally be outnumbered and outmatched? How dare you assume such a blasphemous thing as that? There's no way that any other nations could rival our military power. I refuse to believe that there are people stronger than our organization. Find Alucard, now. I don't care how you do it, just find that bloody immortal bastard and bring him to me immediately." Alucard then appeared out of the shadows behind Integra and said, "There's no reason for you to go on a vampire hunt for me, Integra. I'm right here. I'm surprised you found the place so easily. How did you do it? Was it that blonde human that helped you? I don't have anything against him or his village. I just wanted a place where my queen and I could raise our child in peace away from any sort of violence like killing other vampires and ghouls. Surely you of ALL people could understand that, don't you?" And Integra said, "Alucard of Helsing Organization, your mission in Japan to locate and establish a new Helsing base of operations is complete. You're to return to London effective immediately. As your master, this is a direct order. You're to return with your queen and your child and any other people the two of you have turned into vampires, including the ones from the Hidden Leaf Village." "I understood." And Alucard said, "You should know something about my queen, Integra Helsing. She's not too fond of people who try forcing her to leave her family behind. If you ever want to see mourning, you will show us the respect we deserve as the rulers of our new island village. Where I go, she goes, and so does our son. If you aren't careful, you might just be dead by daylight. There's things on the island that aren't in your best interest to go searching for. Things that could easily destroy an entire nation and level entire cities with a flick of its tail. I'm sure you are well aware of the Kitsune fox spirit? The one with 9 tails and powerful enough to kill thousands of people in one night. It resides here on this island for its own safety. And Integra said, "This isn't up for discussion, Alucard. We're facing a dangerous threat of vampire cults that might make their move any day now. Return to London at once. Those are your orders, queen and child or not. You're bound by me and my family organization as its servant. You served my father, and now both you and your family serve me. Every person that you turn into a vampire now serves me. Integra Wingates Helsing, before we leave, I'd like to see this child of yours and meet your queen." "Your Majesty, I can at least have the honor of doing that much, don't I?" "Your lordship?" Alucard could tell that Integra was having a hard time treating him like royalty and was hating every single moment of it if the tone of her voice was anything to go by. He knew what Integra was capable of doing and what the underlying tone in her voice meant. It meant that she was pissed off. And that if push comes to shove she would order his wife and son killed for betraying her family's organization. Alucard then said, "If you don't watch that tone in your voice, Integra, I might just release Restriction Art Level 0 on the entire Helsing organization. It would be a literal hell unleashed upon all of London. Just because I serve you and are bound by servitude to the Helsing family doesn't mean I can't kill the last of them if I so chose to. I serve you because I served your father. I serve you out of respect and by choice. You have no control over my free will. You cannot make me do as you please because you have the authority to do so. Do you know how easily I could have killed you or snapped your neck when we met? I could have killed you without even trying back then." And Walter said, "Miss Integra, perhaps it's best that we do as His Majesty says, for now at least. Until the sun rises I'm afraid we are stuck on the island and can't leave until low tide. Perhaps if you were to allow me to, how shall I put it, observe from a distance how the child reacts around others. If I find him a threat to the Helsing organization you shall be the first to know. The less violence we show around here the better off we shall be. As it stands, we aren't his partners, we're his guests of honor." Integra didn't like the situation she was just put in but realized she didn't have any other choice in the matter at this point in time. Like always, Walter was smart enough to know when to take action and when to be a politician. And right now playing the role of an honored political guest was her only option. For the time being she would do things the way Alucard wanted her to and not what she wants him to do. Ceres then said, "This is a very interesting and beautiful place, Master Alucard. I'm surprised that such a place even existed all those years ago. If anything, I'd say that I could probably get used to living here myself personally. It feels so welcoming and inviting for some odd reason." And Alucard said, "The reason for that is simple really, Ceres. It's because this place is constantly flowing with natural energy. The more light from the blood moon that the island takes in, the longer it stays visible. But once the blood moon disappears so does the village. Back into the shadows until the next full blood moon. It was designed this way so that the island's history of being destroyed never repeated itself. Unseen during the day and only visible during this time of the year when the blood moon is at its brightest over top of the island itself. The perfect defense to prevent any kind of intruders or invaders from attacking us are the creatures that live here on the island. Which is other vampires, of course. The guest rooms are up ahead and the dining hall is downstairs and through the door on your left. Dinner is in 1 hour, so I'll let you freshen up and prepare yourselves. Enjoy your evening and try not to get lost in the palace. I must be going now. And remember, don't go wandering into areas that you seem to be uncertain of. It might just get you a one-way ticket to your own deaths." "Ha ha ha ha," Integra then said. That sinister laugh of his always did give me the creeps as a child. By now you think I'd have grown rather used to it. In some ways I can never tell when he's joking and when he's serious with that sadistic look in his eyes. What do you think, Walter? And Walter said, "It's better to tread with caution than to go around looking for any sort of trouble, madam. If I may suggest that we begin choosing our rooms and getting ourselves ready for dinner. Perhaps then we might have the privilege of meeting his queen and son in person. If anything happens, Ceres and I shall step in and protect you with our lives. But for now we have to play it one step at a time. Earn the queen's trust, meet the child, and then decide whether or not dragging him back to London is such a good idea or not." I'm getting the feeling that this is simply his way of reliving his past life as a ruthless dictator as Vlad the Impaler from Transylvania and not Alucard of the Helsing organization. And Ceres said, "Hold on, Walter, sir. Are you saying that my master was a ruler of his own kingdom in his past life? And a ruthless dictator as well? Why has he never shown that form of his then?" And Integra said, "Because the only time he's ever allowed to use that form is if I permitted it." When he mentioned restriction art level 0, he was referring to unleashing his full power of over 8 million souls that he's consumed throughout the centuries. Ceres couldn't believe what she's just heard. Over 8 million souls. She was amazed that something like that was possible for a vampire. She almost wondered if she's able to consume souls like her master if she became a full vampire. Then again, she probably didn't want to know either. That kind of power, in her delicate innocent hands, would drive her into a bloodthirsty killing spree. An hour went by and they made it to dinner on time, and once they saw Alucard with his queen Kushina Uzumaki, Ceres couldn't believe the amount of beauty and power she gave off. Not to mention the 10-year-old boy sitting next to her staring up at her with those bright blood-red eyes. Taking one good look at Naruto, Integra was shocked and said, "He takes after you quite a bit, Alucard. Except for the red natural highlights. Your genetic hair color, I'd assume, Your Highness? What's the extent of his vampiric powers?" And Alucard said, "He has all of my abilities and more, including the ability to read minds and control other vampires at will. In fact, if we let him go for even 10 minutes, he could turn an entire village of people into his own personal vampire army. So we limit his contact around other people to prevent such things from happening." And Walter said, "Forgive me, your lordship, but, is it possible for your son's abilities to control half-blooded vampires as well, or is it limited to those that he's turned into a vampire?" And Alucard said, "It's not just vampires he can control, Walter. He can also command ghouls and humans as well. If he wants to, he could turn all of the Iskakriot organization's members against each other. Even Paladin Anderson wouldn't be able to resist our son's influence." Kushina then said, "As much as we enjoy going places with him, we can't take our eyes off of him, or he could turn an entire village of innocent people into vampires overnight without us knowing." And Integra said, That could be quite the problem if we brought all of you back to London. How well can he control his thirst for human blood? I don't want him eating all of my soldiers, Alucard. And my organization is not a daycare facility for vampire children. It's a top-secret organization that deals with the extermination of rogue vampires and other supernatural beings." Walter then said as he whispered into Integra's ear, "Madam, if this child can control vampires and ghouls plus humans and people like Paladin Anderson, well, it's safe to say that this child might be able to control all of Helsing organization as well, if he's hungry enough for blood, that is. I'm afraid we can't take that risk. Someone's going to have to train the child to control his hunger for human blood. Might I recommend leaving Ceres here? I mean, have you ever seen her so happy and relaxed before? Almost as if she's enjoying the boys' company." And Integra said, "Perhaps you're right as usual, Walter. Perhaps we should leave Victoria here to train the child. But what are the odds she's still going to be loyal to the Helsing organization afterwards?" Alucard said it himself. The child can control humans, vampires, ghouls, and even a regenerator like Paladin Anderson. Keep watch over them closely, Walter. We need to know more about what this child of his is fully capable on a widespread scale." Walter then said, "Yes, madam, as you wish. I shall keep you fully informed about everything." Alucard then said, "Ceres, would you like to stay for a while? I'm certain you will enjoy it here, and our son's grown quite fond of you and your childish side. A fitting pair of friends, if you ask me." Naruto just smiled wide with joy and hopefulness as he was praying that she would stay. It's the first time he'd ever had someone to talk to that wasn't so far away from the island. Ceres then said, "I would be honored to, my master. If the young prince doesn't mind, that is, I'd be more than happy to stay." And Naruto said, "Are you kidding me? I'd love for you to stay. We're going to have so much fun together while Mama and Papa are busy doing business-related things. They're always busy and I almost never have time to play with them." And Kushina said, "One day you will realize there's more to life than just fun and games when you take over the kingdom, son. But for now we must be getting you to bed." Ms. Victoria, will you please escort our son to his room? It's the very first door on the right at the top of the stairs. You're welcome to stay as long as you want to. Just don't go near the forest. That's where Kurama lives, and he hates being woken up unexpectedly. And Ceres said, I'd love to, your majesties. Let's go, Naruto. Time for bed, young prince. And no buts. Do as you are told or no playtime tomorrow night. And Naruto said, okay, let's go, come on. I can't wait to show you my room. You're going to enjoy how cool it is. Believe it. Ceres then escorted Naruto to his room, and when she opened the door she was almost blinded by the amount of orange on one side of the room and red on the other side of the room. The two colors alone made her feel like she was going blind. Ceres then noticed that there was a shelf full of books which were obviously bedtime stories. Seeing all of them almost made her remember her own childhood with her parents. Ceres then looked over all the books and said, which book shall I read to you tonight, young prince? How about, oh, this one seems very interesting. The Tales of a Gutsy Ninja? Must be a gift from this person named Jiraiya. And Naruto said, yeah, he gave me that for my birthday last year. Although you wouldn't be catching me drinking his old blood. I don't like perverted people. Put a sour taste in my mouth once before. Yuck, never again. And Ceres said, alright, let's start this story, shall we? Who knows, I might just like this story myself. I wonder why it's never been published. Ceres then began to read the story to Naruto, and by the time she got halfway through the book Naruto had fallen asleep as she then tucked him in and turned off the lights. And closed the door as Naruto's coffin closed itself and the little vampire prince fell asleep peacefully. Ceres didn't notice it until she left the room, but she still had the book she read Naruto in her hand and decided to finish it while she was waiting for Walter and Integra to head back to their rooms. Integra and Walter then approached Ceres, and Integra said, Ceres, we have a request for you. I think you'll find it quite a fun experience also. Think of it as a side mission for me personally. And Ceres said, let's talk about this somewhere else. Down the hall away from Naruto's room. He just fell asleep, but I'm sure I know what you are going to ask me. They then made it to Integra's room, and once inside Integra said, I'll get straight to the point, Ceres. Alucard's child poses a very high-risk threat level to both the Hellsing and Iskakriot organizations. The child can control the minds of everyone in London if left alone, from what I've been told by his parents. This is where you come in. Since you are staying here willingly, we want you to train the boy to control his thirst for human blood. And if you have to, learn this country's ways of life, their culture and their fighting methods. I've noticed a lot of swords in the armory and not one single gun or grenade to use for defense. Simply these slips of paper with a symbol for explo. Shit, Walter, get rid of those things now. They're explosive notes. And Walter said, right away, madam. Walter then threw all of the tags out of the window as they all went off at once. Only instead of an explosion it was ink. An ink bomb. Alucard then showed up and said, sorry about that, Integra. I should have mentioned that my son's a bit of a prankster. A terrible habit he inherited from his mother, I'm afraid. Integra then said, so, those weren't really going to kill us? They would only make a very big mess of the room as part of a joke? You already know how I feel about pranks, Alucard. Your child needs some serious discipline. And Alucard said, it was just a harmless prank, Integra. Besides, you almost never laugh anymore. You're too uptight all the time. You're not in London, England anymore. Learn to have some fun. Ceres could hardly contain her laughter, but it was still noticed by Integra. But it's not Alucard's comment or Integra she was laughing at. It was the sly, cunning prank that Naruto obviously had set up ahead of time. She was definitely going to enjoy staying on the island. Oh, she was definitely going to enjoy it indeed. One thing was for certain. She was going to enjoy every moment of her time with Naruto and his pranks. And eventually, she would use those same pranks on Walter and Integra in the future. Oh, the numerous laughing that would echo throughout Hellsing Manor. You would almost think that the devil himself was laughing.
That's all for now. If you enjoyed, then please like, share and do comments.